The fluorescent lights in the corner office felt different that Tuesday morning. Cold, clinical, like the sterile environment of the genomic databases I'd spent 19 years protecting. "This isn't personal, it's business," Lawrence Templeton said, that familiar smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. My boss, no, former boss, leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled like he was some kind of corporate philosopher delivering wisdom. I stood there, briefcase still in hand from my morning arrival. 19 years. 19 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, sacrificed holidays. 19 years of building something from nothing. "Effective immediately, Odette. Security will escort you out." The words hung in the air like data points I couldn't process. 2 security guards I'd known for a decade stood awkwardly by the door, unable to meet my eyes. "I'll need your access cards, company phone, and laptop." Just business, that's what he called it. Before we dive into what happened next, this channel is on a journey. We're building a community that shares real stories about real situations in the workplace. If these stories resonate with you, consider joining us as we work toward reaching 5,000 subscribers. Your support helps these stories reach others who might need to hear them. Now, let me take you back to where this all began. My name is Odette Rousso, and for 19 years, I served as Senior Director of Client Relations and Data Integrity at Helix Genomic Solutions, one of the largest genomic data silo management firms in North America. My grandmother raised me in a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. She cleaned office buildings at night and took care of me during the day, running on maybe 4 hours of sleep. She never complained, never asked for sympathy. She just taught me that people matter more than profit margins, that a handshake means something, and that your word is the only currency that truly holds value. Those lessons shaped everything I became. They guided me through undergrad at CUNY, then my graduate work in bioinformatics at Columbia, and eventually into the world of genomic data management when it was still an emerging field. I didn't come from money. I came from something better. I came from understanding what it means to be seen, to be valued, to be treated like you matter. That's what made me good at my job, not the degrees, not the technical knowledge, the empathy. Let me take you back to the beginning. Not the beginning of my career, but the beginning of the end. 3 months before Lawrence fired me, Helix Genomic Solutions underwent new ownership. A private equity firm called Stratton Capital Partners acquired us in a deal that made headlines in the biotechnology sector. $800 million. Lawrence Templeton came with the acquisition. 42 years old, Harvard MBA, a resume that read like a greatest hits of corporate restructuring. Which is really just a polite way of saying he'd made his career cutting costs and maximizing shareholder value. He called an all-hands meeting his first week. "I appreciate everything this team has built," he said from the front of our main conference hall, "but appreciation doesn't pay dividends. We're going to streamline operations, eliminate redundancies, and optimize our overhead structure." Corporate speak for, people are going to lose their jobs. I'd been through leadership changes before. In 19 years, I'd seen 4 CEOs, 3 company names, and countless reorganizations. I knew the playbook. Keep your head down, demonstrate value, protect your team. What I didn't anticipate was that I'd become the target. To understand what happened, you need to understand what we did at Helix Genomic Solutions. We managed genomic data silos for research institutions, pharmaceutical companies, and healthcare systems. When a hospital sequences a patient's genome, or a research university conducts a genetic study, they generate massive amounts of sensitive data. That data needs to be stored, secured, organized, and made accessible to authorized users while remaining completely protected from unauthorized access. That's where we came in. I joined Helix, back when it was called Genome Vault Systems, right out of graduate school. Employee number 47. The company operated out of a converted warehouse in Newark, and our server room was basically a glorified closet with industrial air conditioning. My official title was Junior Client Services Associate, which meant I did everything from answering phones to troubleshooting database queries to driving across 3 states to give in-person presentations to potential clients. The founder, Dr. Raymond Ashford, believed in a simple philosophy: treat clients like partners, not account numbers. Understand their needs, solve their problems, build trust. I absorbed that philosophy like my grandmother's lessons about dignity and respect. It became the foundation of everything I built. My first major client was Northeastern Biomedical Research Institute, a mid-sized medical research facility in Hartford. They were conducting longitudinal studies on genetic markers for cardiovascular disease. Their existing data management system was a disaster: corrupted files, security vulnerabilities, no redundancy protocols. I drove up on a Wednesday morning in February, ice on the roads, snow in the forecast. I arrived 2 hours early and sat in my car, reviewing every detail of their account, every conversation we'd had, every concern they'd expressed. Dr. Helen Kozlowski, their research director, met me in the lobby. "You're the one I've been talking to on the phone," she said, shaking my hand. I expected someone, older. I was 24. I looked 20. I smiled. "Age doesn't secure data, Dr. Kozlowski. Systems do. Let me show you what we've designed for your specific needs." I spent 6 hours there, not selling, listening, understanding their workflow, their pain points, their fears about data loss and security breaches. I took notes, asked questions. Then I redesigned our entire proposed architecture on the spot, customizing it to their exact requirements. We won that contract. It was worth $300,000 annually, which at the time was massive for our small company. Dr. Kozlowski told Raymond that I was the reason they signed. Not the technology, not the price. Me. That's when I learned the real secret of this industry. Genomic data management is ultimately about trust. These organizations are handing over their most sensitive information: patient privacy, research data worth millions in potential pharmaceutical applications, irreplaceable study results. They don't trust technology, they trust people. Over the next 15 years, I built the client relations department from the ground up. I hired carefully, trained extensively, instilled that same philosophy Dr. Ashford had taught me: know your clients, understand their needs. Be available, be reliable, be human. I developed personal relationships with decision-makers at every major account. I knew their birthdays, their kids' names, their career aspirations. I attended their conferences, visited their facilities, understood their challenges. When Dr. Kozlowski's mother passed away, I sent flowers and a handwritten note. When Pacific Coast Genomics landed a major NIH grant, I sent champagne. When Midwest Pharmaceutical Research faced a data breach scare with their previous vendor, I was on a plane within 2 hours, personally overseeing the migration to our systems. This wasn't manipulation. It was genuine care. These weren't accounts to me. They were people I respected, doing important work that would literally save lives. The clients knew it. They felt it. By the time Lawrence Templeton walked through our doors, I personally managed relationships with 28 major clients. Together, they represented approximately 62% of Helix's annual revenue. The top 20 alone generated contracts worth just over $2 billion annually. Let me break down a few of the major ones. Atlantic Health Genomics Consortium, $470 million annually. 11 hospital systems across 7 states pooling genomic data for cancer research. I'd worked with them for 12 years. Their chief medical information officer, Dr. Anthony Castellano, and I spoke at least twice a month. Western Biopharmaceutical Alliance, $390 million annually. A partnership of pharmaceutical companies sharing genetic research data for drug development. Highly sensitive, extremely complex security requirements. I'd personally designed their entire data governance framework. National Cancer Genome Project, $280 million annually. A federal research initiative studying genetic factors in cancer development. 17 universities, 4 national laboratories, countless researchers. I'd spent 3 years helping them navigate the bureaucracy of multi-institutional data sharing agreements. The list went on: Global Genetics Foundation, Heartland Medical Research, Cascade Biotech, Southeastern Genomic Medicine Institute. Each represented years of relationship building, years of late-night calls when systems needed updates, years of contract negotiations, technical consultations, strategic planning sessions. I knew every principal investigator, every IT director, every procurement officer, every legal counsel. But here's what made my role unique. and what Lawrence Templeton either didn't know or didn't care about: the signature authority. In genomic data management, contracts aren't simple service agreements. They involve complex legal frameworks around data ownership, privacy compliance, liability, security protocols, and breach notification requirements. Given the sensitivity and complexity, our largest clients required designated signature authority, meaning specific individuals authorized to execute contract amendments, approve system changes, authorize data access requests, and handle security protocols. For my 20 largest clients, I held primary signature authority. This wasn't unusual or suspicious. I'd built these relationships over years, sometimes over a decade. The clients trusted me personally. Their legal teams knew me. Their compliance officers had my direct number. When Pacific Coast Genomics needed emergency authorization for expanded data access after a researcher made an unexpected breakthrough, they called me at 11 p.m. on a Saturday. I reviewed the request, verified the authorization protocols, and executed the approval. The researcher had access by midnight. The breakthrough led to a phase II clinical trial that's currently showing promising results for pediatric leukemia. That's why signature authority mattered. Speed, trust, expertise. Dr. Ashford had established this system years ago. When he retired and sold the company the first time, it continued. Through multiple ownership changes, it continued. The signature authority wasn't power. It was responsibility. It was the physical manifestation of the trust these clients placed in us. Lawrence Templeton saw it differently. "Walk me through your client management structure," Lawrence said during our first one-on-one meeting. I'd prepared a comprehensive presentation. Client profiles, revenue breakdowns, contract timelines, growth projections, relationship maps. "Our model is relationship-based," I explained. "Each account manager owns their client relationships fully. They're the single point of contact, which creates continuity and trust." Lawrence scrolled through his laptop, barely glancing at my presentation. "Single point of contact is a single point of failure," he said. "What happens if someone gets hit by a bus? We have backup protocols and knowledge transfer systems. What I'm seeing is concentration of power. You personally control over 60% of revenue. That's not a sustainable business model." Control, that word bothered me. "I don't control the clients, Lawrence. I serve them. There's a difference." He looked up then, that smirk appearing. "Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, you've made yourself indispensable, which is smart job security, but terrible for the company." I kept my voice level. These relationships took years to build. The clients value consistency. If we start rotating account managers, we'll lose trust. Trust is a luxury. Efficiency is a necessity. He closed his laptop. "I want you to develop a transition plan. Distribute your accounts across the team. I want no single employee managing more than 15% of revenue. That will require client approval. Many of these contracts specify. Then we'll renegotiate the contracts. It's time these clients understood they have a relationship with Helix Genomic Solutions, not with Odette Rousseau." That was month 1. Month 2 brought the restructuring announcement. Lawrence called a department meeting. My entire client relations team, 23 people I'd personally hired and trained. "We're implementing a new organizational structure," he announced. "Moving from a relationship-based model to a pod system. Each pod will handle multiple clients with rotating responsibilities." I watched my team's faces. Confusion, concern. They looked at me for reassurance I couldn't give. "The transition will begin immediately," Lawrence continued. "Odette will provide details on the new assignments." After the meeting, I went straight to his office. "You're undermining years of carefully built relationships," I said. "These clients didn't sign with Helix because of our technology. Dozens of companies offer similar services. They signed because of trust. Then the trust needs to be in our brand, not our employees." "That's not how this industry works." "That's not how this industry worked," he interrupted. "Past tense, I'm changing how it works. You can either adapt or," he paused. "Well, I'm sure you understand." The threat was clear. I tried to make it work. I genuinely did. I began introducing other team members to my clients. Carefully, strategically, positioning it as expansion, not replacement. Dr. Castellano from Atlantic Health Genomics took me to coffee during one of my visits. "What's going on, Odette?" he asked. "I'm getting emails from 3 different people at Helix now, mixed messages, confusion about approval protocols." "We're expanding our support structure," I explained, "making sure you have multiple points of contact." "I don't want multiple points of contact. I want you. That's what our contract specifies. That's why we pay premium rates." These conversations repeated across my client base. The clients weren't resistant to change because they were difficult. They were resistant because the existing system worked. Meanwhile, Lawrence continued pushing. Month 3 brought the signature authority demand. "I need you to transfer signature rights to a centralized approval system," he said during another meeting. "The contracts don't allow that without client consent." "Then get client consent." "Lawrence, these organizations require designated individuals for accountability. It's a compliance requirement, not a preference." "Then we'll designate someone else. We'll designate multiple people. We'll create a rotation. I don't care how you solve it, but you will not be the single signature authority on $2 billion in contracts." "This isn't about power." "Everything is about power, Odette. And right now, you have too much." The situation became untenable. Lawrence started contradicting my decisions. When I approved a system update for Western Biopharmaceutical Alliance, he countermanded it, citing cost concerns. Never mind that the update was contractually required and the client had already scheduled it. I had to call the client and apologize, reschedule, explain that there was internal coordination needed. Dr. Rita Hammond, their chief technology officer, wasn't pleased. "This isn't like you, Odette. In 8 years, you've never dropped the ball on a commitment." "I apologize, Rita. It won't happen again." But it did happen again, and again. Lawrence inserted himself into client communications. He scheduled calls without informing me. He made promises about pricing and services without understanding the technical requirements or contractual limitations. I spent more time doing damage control than actual client service. My team was confused. The clients were frustrated, and Lawrence seemed satisfied with the chaos. Then came the final straw. The National Cancer Genome Project was preparing for a major expansion. They'd received additional federal funding and needed to increase storage capacity by 40% and add 3 new institutional partners. I'd been working on the expansion plan for 4 months. Contract amendments, technical specifications, security protocols, budget approvals, everything was ready. We had a scheduled call with the project director, Dr. Yolanda Harris, and her team to finalize the agreement. Contract value, an additional $80 million annually. Lawrence insisted on joining the call. "I should be involved in major contract negotiations," he said. I tried to brief him beforehand, sent detailed documents, offered to walk him through the specifics. He waved me off. "I've negotiated hundreds of contracts. I think I can handle it." The call started well enough. Introductions, pleasantries, then we got to the contract terms. "The pricing structure Odette outlined works within our budget," Dr. Harris said. "We're ready to move forward pending final approval." That's when Lawrence spoke up. "Actually, I've reviewed the proposal, and I think we can optimize the structure. We're prepared to offer a 15% discount if you'll agree to a modified service level agreement." Silence on the other end of the call. I jumped in quickly. "Lawrence, the pricing and SLA are based on their specific compliance requirements. I understand that, Odette, but every negotiation has flexibility." Dr. Harris's voice was cold when she responded. "Mr. Templeton, the service level agreement isn't a negotiation point. These are federal compliance requirements. We need guaranteed uptime, specific security protocols, and designated response times. The pricing reflects those requirements." "Of course," Lawrence said smoothly, "but in my experience, there's always room for creative solutions that benefit both parties. What if we adjusted the security monitoring frequency?" "No," Dr. Harris cut him off. "Mr. Templeton, with respect, I don't think you understand the regulatory environment we operate in. Odette spent months designing this structure to meet our needs. The proposal she presented is exactly what we need. If Helix is no longer interested in providing that level of service, we need to know now." I wanted to crawl through the phone and disappear. "Dr. Harris, I said carefully. Helix absolutely remains committed to meeting your requirements exactly as proposed. Perhaps we can. Perhaps we can schedule a follow-up call, Lawrence interrupted. Give everyone time to review and consider all options. Another pause, then, I'll have my team reach out about next steps. The call ended. I turned to Lawrence. They were ready to sign. That contract was done. Nothing is done until we've explored all options. You just risked an $80 million expansion over a negotiation that didn't need to happen. That's the difference between you and me, Odette. You're so busy being liked that you leave money on the table. I'm here to maximize shareholder value. You're here to destroy relationships I spent years building. His expression shifted. The smirk disappeared. Careful, Odette. That conversation happened on a Thursday afternoon. The following Tuesday morning, I walked into the office at 7 a.m., same as always. I stopped at my desk, dropped off my coat, grabbed my coffee, and headed to the standing 8 a.m. leadership meeting. Lawrence's assistant intercepted me in the hallway. Lawrence needs to see you in his office. The leadership meeting starts in 10 minutes. He needs to see you now. The walk to his office felt longer than usual. Something in the assistant's expression, something in the unusual quietness of the executive floor. I knocked and entered. Lawrence sat behind his desk. 2 security guards stood by the door. Our head of HR, Pauline Mitchell, sat in one of the side chairs, a folder in her lap. Sit down, Odette. I remained standing. What's going on? Helix Genomic Solutions is moving in a new direction. After careful consideration, we've determined that direction no longer aligns with your role here. The words took a moment to process. You're firing me? We're ending your employment, effective immediately. Pauline has your severance package. 19 years, 62% of revenue, $2 billion in contracts I personally managed. On what grounds? We don't need grounds. New York is an at-will employment state. My contract has specific termination clauses, which we're honoring. You'll receive the full severance package. 6 months salary, benefits continuation, standard separation agreement. I looked at Pauline. She wouldn't meet my eyes. This is about the signature authority, I said. Lawrence leaned back in his chair, that familiar smirk returning. This isn't personal, Odette. It's business. You've made yourself too central to operations. That's a liability. We're restructuring to eliminate single points of failure. By eliminating me? By eliminating the concentration of power, your team will absorb your responsibilities. The clients have relationships with Helix, not with you personally. You actually believe that. I know that. Companies are bigger than individuals. I looked at him for a long moment, at the smirk, at the certainty, at the complete lack of understanding about what he was about to lose. When do you want me out? Security will escort you to your desk. You'll have 30 minutes to collect personal items. All company property, laptop, phone, access cards stays here. I have files, client notes. All company property, he repeated. The security guards, Bill and Thomas, both of whom I'd known for years, escorted me to my desk. My team watched in stunned silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. I packed my personal items into a banker's box. Photos of my grandmother. A plant from Dr. Kozlowski when we celebrated 10 years of partnership. A paperweight from the National Cancer Genome Project commemorating our initial contract. 30 minutes. 19 years reduced to 30 minutes and a banker's box. I handed over my laptop, phone, and access cards. Bill and Thomas walked me to my car. This is wrong, Bill muttered as we reached the parking lot. It's business, I said, echoing Lawrence's words. I drove home in a daze, pulled into my apartment parking garage, sat in the car for 20 minutes staring at nothing. Then my personal phone rang. Dr. Castellano. Odette, what the hell is going on? I just got an email from someone named Keith Bradshaw saying he's our new primary contact at Helix. I closed my eyes. I'm no longer with the company, Anthony. What? Since when? Since about an hour ago. They fired you, his voice rose. They fired you after 12 years of perfect service. It's a restructuring thing. Don't worry, Keith is good. He's been with the company for... I don't care about Keith. Our contract specifies you as the designated relationship manager and signature authority. That was a non-negotiable term. I'm sure Helix will work with you too. Helix just breached our contract. I'm calling our legal team now. He hung up. My phone rang again immediately. Dr. Hammond from Western Biopharmaceutical Alliance. Then Dr. Harris from the National Cancer Genome Project. Then Dr. Kozlowski. One after another, the calls came. I didn't return the calls, not that day. What would I say? Yes, they fired me. No, I don't know what it means for your contracts. Please work with my replacement. I sat in my apartment, watching my phone light up with call after call, email after email. The clients weren't just upset, they were furious, and they had every right to be. When you're managing genomic data, patient information, research results worth millions, irreplaceable study data, you don't accept sudden changes to your service agreements. You don't accept strangers suddenly having access to your most sensitive information. Trust isn't transferable. By 5 p.m., I had 47 missed calls and over 100 emails. I finally responded with a brief professional message. I'm no longer with Helix Genomic Solutions. Please direct all questions to Lawrence Templeton, CEO. Then, I turned off my phone and tried to process what had happened. Wednesday morning, I woke to hundreds of emails, but these weren't to me. They were CC'd to me. Contract termination notices. Atlantic Health Genomics Consortium. Due to material breach of contract terms specifying designated personnel. Western Biopharmaceutical Alliance. Failure to maintain agreed-upon relationship management structure. National Cancer Genome Project. Violation of service-level agreements regarding continuity of designated signature authority. I sat at my kitchen table, reading through them in disbelief. They weren't threatening to leave. They were already gone. By Wednesday afternoon, I counted 20 contract termination notices, 20 of my largest clients. The contracts they were terminating represented, collectively, just over $2 billion in annual revenue. $2 billion, gone in 24 hours. My personal phone rang at 4 p.m., unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Odette Rousseau. You. Lawrence Templeton's voice was barely controlled rage. You did this. I did what, Lawrence? You sabotaged us. You turned the clients against the company. You're facing a lawsuit for tortious interference, breach of fiduciary duty, corporate sabotage. Lawrence, I haven't spoken to a single client since you fired me. Bullshit. 20 contracts terminated in 24 hours. That doesn't happen organically. It happens when you fire the person those contracts specified as the designated relationship manager and signature authority. Those contracts are with Helix, not with you personally. Those contracts contained specific terms about designated personnel. I told you that, you didn't listen. Silence on the other end. Then, you need to fix this. I don't work for Helix anymore. Remember, it's business, not personal. Odette, listen to me very carefully. If you don't get those clients back, I will bury you in litigation. I will make sure you never work in this industry again. You're threatening me with legal action because your clients exercise their contractual rights to terminate for breach. You orchestrated this. I packed a box and went home, Lawrence. That's all I did. The clients made their own decisions. Fix this, whatever they want, whatever it takes, fix it. I can't fix it. I don't work there anymore. Another pause. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, desperate now. What if you did work here? What if we called this whole thing a misunderstanding? You fired me. We can undo it, reinstate you, full back pay. Hell, we can give you a raise. So you can fire me again in 6 months after the contracts are secured. No thank you. Then consult, independent contractor, name your rate. Lawrence, please. The word sounded foreign in his mouth. Just talk to them. Explain that there was a transition issue. Tell them we've resolved it. Tell them what? That you fired me and then immediately tried to hire me back when you realized the consequences. That inspires confidence. Thursday morning, I woke to an email from Pauline in HR. Lawrence has requested a meeting. Friday, 10 a.m. at our offices. Please confirm your attendance. I didn't respond. Friday morning, my phone rang. Pauline. Odette, Lawrence is expecting you at 10. I'm not coming. He says it's urgent. It's about the client situation. The client situation isn't my problem anymore. Please, Odette. Just hear him out. Something in her voice made me reconsider. Pauline had always been decent to me, professional, fair. Fine, 10 a.m. I arrived at 9:55, signed in as a visitor, received a visitor badge. The irony wasn't lost on me. Pauline met me in the lobby and escorted me upstairs. The office felt different. Tense. People moved quickly, heads down, avoiding eye contact. Lawrence's office door was open. He stood by the window, back to the door. "She's here," Pauline said softly, then retreated. Lawrence turned. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt. The smirk was long gone. "Thank you for coming." I remained standing. "You have 15 minutes. He gestured to a chair. I didn't sit. 20 clients have terminated their contracts, he began. Another 8 have submitted formal breach notices. Our legal team says they're within their rights based on the designated personnel clauses. I know. I read the contracts. I negotiated them. Stratton Capital is threatening to void the acquisition. They're claiming I misrepresented the stability of the client base. That's between you and Stratton. The board is meeting Monday. They're voting on my termination." I said nothing. "I need your help, Odette. You fired me. I made a mistake. You made a calculated decision to consolidate power and eliminate what you saw as a single point of failure. Those were your exact words. I was wrong." The words seemed to physically pain him. I didn't understand the industry. I didn't understand the relationships. I treated genomic data management like every other business I've restructured, and I was wrong. "Yes, you were." He moved to his desk, picked up a folder. "This is an offer letter, Vice President of Client Relations, 20% salary increase, guaranteed contract, board seat, and full signature authority restoration." He held it out. I didn't take it. "It's too late, Lawrence. The clients trust you. If you come back, they'll come back. Maybe, maybe not, but either way, I'm not interested." "Why? What do you want? More money? Better title? Equity stake?" "I want to work somewhere that understands what I understood 19 years ago, that this industry is built on trust, that relationships matter, that people aren't interchangeable parts in a machine." "Helix can be that place." "No, it can't. Because you're still running it, and you fundamentally don't understand what makes this work." I turned toward the door. "Odette, wait." I paused. "Why do you hold all the signature rights?" I turned back. "What?" "The signature authority. You said you held it for the top 20 clients. I never actually understood why. Explain it to me." I studied him for a moment, then I walked back, pulled out a chair, and sat. "When Dr. Castellano's team at Atlantic Health Genomics makes a breakthrough in cardiovascular genetic research, they need immediate data access expansion. Not in 3 days after it goes through an approval committee. Immediately. Because that breakthrough might save someone's life next week. When Western Biopharmaceutical has a security concern, they need to know they can call one person who understands their entire system architecture, their compliance requirements, their data governance framework. One person who can make decisions without checking with 6 different departments. When the National Cancer Genome Project needs emergency authorization at 11 p.m. on a Saturday because a researcher halfway across the country needs access to a specific data set, they need someone who will answer the phone, someone who knows their protocols, someone authorized to make that call. Signature authority isn't about power, it's about responsibility. It's about being the person who shows up when it matters, who knows the details, who earns the trust. I stood. You can't distribute that across a pod system, you can't rotate it, you can't centralize it, because at its core, it's about human relationships. And those take years to build. Lawrence sank into his chair. "I destroyed the company, didn't it? You made a decision without understanding the consequences. That's not malice, it's ignorance. But the result is the same." Lawrence Templeton was terminated as CEO on the following Monday. The board announced a strategic realignment and began searching for new leadership. Stratton Capital Partners initiated arbitration proceedings regarding the acquisition terms. Helix Genomic Solutions revenue dropped by 64% in a single quarter. The company laid off 40% of its workforce. My former team members started reaching out. Some landed at competitors. Others left the industry entirely. Keith Bradshaw, the person Lawrence had assigned to replace me with Atlantic Health Genomics, sent me a long email apologizing for being caught in the middle of the situation. I wrote back telling him it wasn't his fault. He was just doing his job. Dr. Castellano called me 3 weeks after the firing. "We've temporarily moved our data to a backup vendor," he said, "but it's not a long-term solution. We need someone who understands our needs. We need someone we trust. There are good companies out there, Anthony. We don't want a good company, we want you. I'm one person. I can't support an operation your size independently. What if you weren't one person? What if you built a team? I hadn't considered it, hadn't let myself think beyond the immediate shock and anger of being fired. I'd need to think about it. Think fast. We need a solution in place within 60 days, or we're in breach of our own data management requirements. Dr. Hammond called next, then Dr. Harris, then Dr. Kozlowski. Same message. They needed a data management partner they could trust. They wanted to work with me, not with a company, with me. I spent a week considering it. Could I actually build a company? Did I want to? Starting a genomic data silo management firm required massive capital investment. Server infrastructure, security systems, compliance certifications, legal frameworks. I had severance pay and savings, but nowhere near enough. Then Dr. Castellano called again. What if we invested? He said. What if the clients who want to work with you became seed investors in your company? That's a massive conflict of interest, not if we structure it properly. We invest, but we maintain separate service agreements with market rate pricing. You build the company, we're your first clients, everyone wins. Anthony, that's insane. Insane is watching the cancer research my team has dedicated 15 years to because our data management vendor imploded. Insane is trusting our most sensitive patient information to the lowest bidder. This is the opposite of insane. I called my grandmother that night. She was 87, still sharp as ever. Baby girl, I don't understand half of what you do, she said, but I know you're good at it. I know people trust you. And I know that when an opportunity scares you, it's probably worth taking. It's a huge risk. So was coming to this country with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. So was raising a child alone. So was believing education could change your life. Risk is how we grow. 6 weeks after Lawrence Templeton fired me, I filed incorporation papers for Rousseau Genomic Solutions. 8 of my former clients became seed investors. Together, they committed $42 million in initial capital. I hired 3 of my former team members who'd been laid off in Helix's downsizing. We leased server space, obtained security certifications, and built systems designed specifically for the needs of our client investors. Within 4 months, we had 12 active contracts. Within 8 months, we'd expanded to 22. Within a year, we were profitable. I was in my office, our actual office, not a converted apartment or borrowed conference room, when Pauline sent me a LinkedIn message. Thought you'd want to know. Helix Genomic Solutions filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy today. The remaining assets are being sold off. I'm part of the liquidation team. Just wanted to say I'm proud of what you built. You deserved better than what happened. I wrote back thanking her and offering to review her resume if she was looking for new opportunities. Then I returned to the contract I was reviewing for a new client. Southeastern Genomic Medicine Institute. $35 million annually. They'd specifically reached out because they'd heard about the personalized approach we took to client relationships. My desk phone buzzed. My assistant. Dr. Castellano on line 2. I picked up. Anthony, how are you? Great. Listen, I'm speaking at a conference next month about data management best practices in genomic research. I want to include a case study about our partnership. You interested in co-presenting? Absolutely. Send me the details. We talked for 15 minutes about his latest research, about his daughter's upcoming college graduation, about the improvements we were implementing to his data architecture. When I hung up, I looked around my office. Photos from client site visits, a thank you card from Dr. Kozlowski, a bottle of scotch from Western Biopharmaceuticals celebrating 2 years of partnership. This wasn't what I'd planned. I'd never imagined building my own company. But sometimes the best things come from the worst moments. Lawrence Templeton taught me that, though not in the way he intended. Getting fired after 19 years was devastating. Humiliating, infuriating. It was also the push I needed to build something better. Lawrence was right about one thing: I had made myself indispensable at Helix. But not because I was hoarding power or playing political games. I was indispensable because I understood something fundamental. In an industry built on managing humanity's most sensitive information, trust isn't a luxury. It's everything. The clients didn't leave Helix because I told them to, I never asked them to, never suggested it. They left because their contracts were violated, because they lost the relationship they'd relied on, because they needed consistency and trust, and those things walked out the door the day I was escorted to my car. Lawrence saw signature authority and saw power that needed to be redistributed. The clients saw signature authority and saw accountability, reliability. Someone who answered the phone at 11 p.m. on a Saturday. That's the difference between managing people and managing relationships. Lawrence ran a company. I built partnerships. When he fired me, he didn't eliminate a single point of failure. He eliminated the foundation the entire structure was built on. My grandmother passed away 2 years after I started Rouso Genomic Solutions. She got to see the company succeed, got to see her granddaughter build something meaningful. In her final weeks, I sat with her in the hospital. "You proved it," she whispered. "Proved what, Grandma?" "That doing right matters more than doing well. You treated people like they mattered, and when it counted, they remembered." She smiled. "I'm proud of you, baby girl, not because you're successful, because you're good." Those words hang in my office now, in a frame next to her photo, because that's what this whole story is really about. Not revenge, not proving someone wrong, not even about building a successful company. It's about the simple truth my grandmother taught me in that 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. People remember how you make them feel. Lawrence Templeton thought business was about efficiency and optimization and eliminating single points of failure. He was wrong. Business, real business, sustainable business is about trust, about relationships, about showing up when it matters and being someone people can count on. You can't put that in a pod system. You can't rotate it. You can't centralize it. You can only build it, one interaction at a time, over years of consistent effort. And when someone tries to tear it down, those relationships remember. Lawrence learned that lesson the hard way. I just hope someone else learns it from his mistake. Stories like these matter because they're real. They happen every day in offices across the country. People building careers, developing relationships, trying to do good work while navigating corporate politics and leadership changes. If this story resonated with you, if you've experienced something similar, or if you just appreciate honest conversations about workplace dynamics, I hope you'll subscribe. We're building something here, a community that shares these experiences without filter or pretense. Thank you for being part of this journey.